Okay, so moving on, we're going to look at packet switching, circuit switching, and message switching. So to understand different methods of switching. Now, so for silver, you need to be able to describe each method of data communication, and then for gold, you need to investigate the optical communication methods. Right, so data communication. Now, this is the process where the data is transferred from one node to another. So a node could be like a computer in a room, or it could be something like a hub or a switch, a router, any piece of equipment like that. So now you're going to identify the three methods. We're going to look at packet, circuit, and message. Okay, so circuit switching. Now this is probably used as an older method of switching. So it's when the data communication sets up a physical path on one network to another. So the sender to the receiver prior to any communication. Okay, so before the communication takes place, there needs to be a physical path, a physical route for the information to go down. So the data will be then transmitted using this single path. It's that simple, really. So while the circuit is open, no other devices can transmit using that path. Now, when the transmission is complete, the path is free to use for other devices. Now, obviously, like I said, when the transmission is using that single path, nothing else can use it. So this would have been a slower way, I suppose, to transmit the data. Now, here's an example. So a traditional voice telephone call uses the public switch telephone network, and then the calls are switched using a circuit switcher. Okay, so no other calls can take place, and so on. So if you think about it, really, I suppose it's a bit like a land telephone line. If someone's using it and you pick up another telephone in the house, you can't use it. Or if you try to call somebody, then the tone engaged comes up. Okay. Now we're going to look at packet switching. Okay, this is another method of data communication, and what it does is that it splits the data and it transmits them into packets. Okay, so like for example, you may get a photograph or something if you send a selfie to your friends, and it might split that selfie down into thousands of little pieces and transmits them throughout the network. Then they all get put together at the end. So how does it route the data packets? Okay, so here's the examples of the data. So for example, if you was to send information that you want to go to a website, you're sending an email, or you want to watch a video on YouTube, it would have broken it down into small parts. Okay, so each of these parts has a header that comprises of the packet's ID number, the position in the overall message. Okay, so what part it is it part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, blah, blah, blah. And the sender's address and the receiver's address. So this is kind of what it looked like. So you've got the packet ID details, the source address, the destination address, and then you've got the data, okay, over here. And I suppose you can think of it really like sending a letter. So if you send a letter, you will put the sender's address on there, the person who's going to receive the letter, their address, and then what might be added is position number 10. So like it could be envelope 1 of 3, 1 of 4, 1 of 5, or something like that. And then the official ID number for each of them. Okay. So now moving on, message switching. So message switching works differently. Okay. So rather than breaking the data down into packets like you saw there, which is, sounds like, I don't know, I suppose a haphazard way, I suppose, but it's not really, it works very well. What this will do is it will transmit the data together, all together as one whole to go to the destination. So the message switching does not have to be predefined route like other forms of data communication. It will send the data in its entirety into one network node, such as a switch or a router, and it has to be stored. Okay. Now this can present some problems, okay, because it's known as store and forward, but it makes the transmission less efficient and a bit slower. Okay. Now each message will contain a header, but it is going to go as its whole entirety. Okay. So as I said, this is slow due to the processing of a whole message. It has to process literally a whole message, not just some packets, breaking it up and sending it down all different routes, but it has to process it as a whole. And then obviously there has to be a storage capacity for it. Okay, so what you're going to do now, so that's message switching, packet switching. Now you are going to look into optical communication methods. Okay, so what you're going to do is research and discuss the following communication methods: infrared, fiber optic, and laser. And I want you to look into and discuss how they work, their speeds, where they're used, and their advantages and disadvantages. Okay, very best of luck to you.